I hope you're all watching today what we're discussing, because we are talking about something very sensitive. We are today talking about family planning and population stabilization. But right now it's time for us to slip into a very short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the programs that have been running and running successfully by the government. So don't go away, as we'll be back in just a moment. Stabilization. And clear any doubts if you have in your minds. Now, Mrs. Gupta, if we were to talk about the trends, are you really happy with what has been happening so far? And then we'll talk about as to what is coming in future.
I think there has been very steady progress that family planning has witnessed. I think during the last decade, there has been some very impressive achievement. Decades of stagnation, when we were not actually seeing any movement there in terms of family planning. But now you can suddenly see that there is a 4.1% drop, from 24.1%. They have also dropped by another 4.1%, which is extremely heartening, which actually points to the fact that there is an uptake of services in these states. There has always been an unmet need. They want to have it. One of them, and very important, is the age at marriage.
That's
because
right.
When female literacy or female education is low, and then, it converts into early marriages. And let me tell you that, for instance, at the national level in India, more than 21% girls actually are getting married before they turn 18. And in Bihar, about 40% actually girls get married so all these states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, you would find a lot of girls getting married before they turn 18. So clearly when the girls are getting married early, and they are bearing children, and they don't have access to contraceptives, or they are not able to delay the birth of their first child, or after the birth of the first child they are not able to space their second child. Clearly there is high parity. And I think what people really don't understand to that extent is the fact that when it's a young mother, very young mother actually, who has high parity and who's producing children every year virtually without adequate spacing, then a lot of maternal deaths take place, and also a lot of neonatal or infant deaths take place. And I would like to really sort of point out here that it is tragic that 45% of the maternal deaths which occur in India every year actually take place in the age group 15 to 25 years.
Right.
And this is also the age group where 47% of our fertility is clustered. So clearly, now there are very encouraging trends that these states which had this, whole sort of interplay of multiple factors which were...
Are you there with me?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, population stabilization is very important because resources are limited in our country. So for that, family planning, I think ASHA workers can play a very big role, because they can go to villages and they can provide education about these contraceptives, and they can involve in-laws and husbands, and also they can provide education about this. Thank you.
That's right. I think you're right, and I think the ASHA workers are the ones who need to be applauded.
Here now we have about 8 lakhs ASHAs, and ASHAs are a worker who is in the community. She's from the village. She has she's a friend of by the women in the community. So ASHA definitely, I would say, are the key to the success of the program as it moves on. But they are just one, one of the pillars. You have to definitely look at quality of services. You have to increase the accessibility to good quality family planning services, and have a good follow-up also. I think that's it's important. Very critical that, you should have satisfied client. Not satisfied, the program will never take off. And I think somewhere we were, as the culture, the food, everything is different.
That's true.
And today, if you add UP and Bihar, they comprise of almost 25% of the population in the country. So we can't have one fit, program for the entire country.
True.
And that's why you have to, think of what you have to do in the high focus states, what you have to do in the districts where the performance is not up to the standard.
I'll have to interrupt you just for a moment, as we have a viewer here. This is Chandresh from Maharashtra. So Chandresh, if you can hear me, welcome to the show.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to ask you a question that why is the population stabilization goal extended from 2045 to 2070?
Why?
Previously the population stabilization goal was to be achieved in 2045. Now it has been shifted to 2070. Why is it so?
Why is it that been shifted? Yes.
See, the point is that you never have a goal of population stabilization. There are certain projections that are made, and we must appreciate the fact that family planning can't be coercive. It is a matter of choice. And your whole family planning program actually has to be focused on giving women and giving eligible couples actually, a basket of choices which they can access. So the eligible couples must decide how many children they want to have, as Bulbul said, and when do they want to have that. However, and also India was the first country, in the world to start a family planning program in 1952, which was a completely voluntary program. So I think Government of India is extremely clear that we have no targets and that there is no scope for any coercion in our family planning program.
Be like China.
For instance, if China, so therefore, our whole focus now, as Bulbul also said and Dr. Vasanti said, our whole focus now is.
Mr. Panchal, what's your point of view today?
नमस्कार लोटी जी।
नमस्कार।
गुजरात साबरकांठा साटंबा से परेश पंचाल बोल रहा हूँ
जी।
फैमिली प्लानिंग पॉपुलेशन वो पूरे ग्लोब के लिए एक समस्या है। पॉपुलेशन ज्यादा होने से ज्यादा क्राइम, ज्यादा क्राइसिस, ज्यादा पॉवर्टी, ज्यादा अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट, ये हो रहा है, ऐसा दिख रहा है। क्या समाज का कैरेक्टर भी पॉपुलेशन ज्यादा होने के कारण गिरता जाता है, ऐसा नहीं लगता है? और बताऊंगा मैं कि ज्यादा बस्ती होगी तो पूरी दुनिया की सरकार या उसको कंट्रोल कैसे कर पाएंगे? कौन कानून से इतनी सारी बढ़ती बस्ती को हम कंट्रोल करेंगे? एक बड़ी समस्या हो जाएगी। क्राइम बढ़ जाएगा, वॉर बढ़ जाएगा। जमीन, पानी, मतलब कि रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान भी समस्या, उसको कैसे हल की जाएगी? और क्या क्या ज्यादा बस्ती से हमारी दुनिया के अंदर प्रॉब्लम्स आ सकते हैं, वो सोचने की बात है।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। आई विल ट्राई एंड गेट द कमेंट्स माय पैनलिस्ट हियर। डॉक्टर कृष्ण, आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे इस बारे में?
हाँ, आपका सवाल तो काफी जायज है, बट ये है कि यहाँ पे जो अभी जिस तरीके से हम लोग जो देश आगे बढ़ रही है, हमें ये सोचना चाहिए कि कोई कंट्रोल या कोई किसी चीज को हम कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते पॉपुलेशन को। ये जो नवयुवा है और जो महिलाएं हैं, उन लोगों को ये चॉइस दी जाए कि वो कब बच्चे।
प्रिया ने मुझे अपनी
to be a part of the show, and do tell us what is it that you would want to say. Yes, Rajesh, please go ahead.
Yeah, my question was just before the break there was a ad on the family establishment for the contraceptive pills. But in the ad they are telling if you take it continuously, then it will harm.
Okay.
If you take 1 year back or 2 year back, this message was not there in the ad of the pill. When people suffer from that, now only government is telling that if you take it continuously, it will harm you. Why it is so? Why it was not 2 years back? 2 years back, why the message was not given to the people?
Somehow I'm not very clear as to what you said, but you were asking something about the pills and you want to know whether they are harmful or not if used on a very on a long time basis. Would you want to say something on that?
No, the oral contraceptive pills are not harmful. They can be taken for a long time. It all depends on the type of screening that a woman has to undergo. And if a woman is is a person with high blood pressure, or she has some varicose veins, then only she is told to choose any other method. But otherwise, there is actually no harm about taking this.
Now, Dr. Krishnan, you did mention in passing, the adolescents. Now, this is one age group. If that is targeted, especially for being educated, then maybe we would see results sooner than expected. Yeah. So do you think that, and how can this training really happen for every adolescent of the country?
See, in our experience in HLF-PPT, we have actually worked directly with the state governments in Uttarakhand, and we're also working in Himachal. We've done this in Rajasthan too, where we work with both the education department and the health department. And through them we move to the government schools. We're doing the training of the teachers, and through the teachers, the peer educators in the schools. So the age group that is, addressed are those who are into middle school and going into high school. And by doing that, it's not talking family planning at this age, but generally talking about the confidence that a child needs, what is a personality development, what are the choices in front of their life, and talking about, menstrual hygiene. So it's all packaged so well that children also take interest, and teachers are also well informed. So they should also be looking out for certain illnesses in children, or if there's a sickness in the child. So that's how the response has started, and we are very happy with this, because we're working currently. Our team is in Sigmore and of Himachal and Dharamshala.
Okay.
Right and I'm finding that the enthusiasm is now coming from state governments, and we are addressing it directly.
Right. And now let's see what Mr. G.N. Rao from Maharashtra has to say. So, Mr. Rao, welcome to the show, and please go ahead.
Thank you. My views on family planning and stabilization are as follows. A small family is a happy family in our country. This slogan is very true for our country.
Right.
In a small family, all the children cannot get proper facilities and attention. With population stabilization, the growing problem of urbanization can be solved. The family planning programs today lack the significance as when it started. For a country like ours, a big number of medical personnel is a must for proper family planning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for those views. And now, Mrs. Gupta, would you want to elaborate a little bit about the training of these adolescents, as you just said?
Actually, as you also said, we think that adolescent health is extremely important. In fact, traditionally adolescent health has been a relatively weak pillar of the reproductive and child health program. But it's been now increasingly recognized that it is important to address the needs, both sexual and reproductive, and other needs of adolescents. So what we have recently done is that we have now created a dedicated division for adolescent health within the ministry, and we are looking very closely on designing a very comprehensive adolescent health strategy as a part of our overall reproductive, maternal, newborn child health strategy. So we are actually in the summit also, India committed itself to unveiling this strategy very soon. And this would be very unique, because in no other country actually adolescent health is a part of reproductive and child health. They have been talking of RM and CH, but adolescent has been missing globally. So therefore what we are now wanting is, our population is very large of adolescents, in India. If it is more than 23 crores actually. So therefore that's a huge population. So we have about 20 crores couples in the reproductive